Welcome back. The Inclusive Gateway in BPMN, also known as the OR Gateway, offers a flexible way of handling decision-making processes in business process models. It allows one or more routes to be activated simultaneously based on a number of conditions. This differs from both the Exclusive Gateway, which selects exactly one route, and the Parallel Gateway, which activates all routes without conditions. The Inclusive Gateway allows a more nuanced control of the process flow by allowing multiple paths to be executed simultaneously if the respective conditions are met. This approach naturally has a different application scenario. Inclusive gateways are used when decisions in the process flow depend on several conditions and a combination of paths can be selected depending on the situation. For example, in a procurement process, a decision should be made based on the value of a sale as to whether only an approval should be obtained, whether offers should be obtained from different suppliers, or whether both should be done in parallel. The Inclusive Gateway makes it possible to flexibly design the conditional paths in the process model. Let's take a look at this procurement process. The symbol for the Inclusive Gateway is similar to that of the Exclusive and the Parallel Gateway, a diamond. The difference lies inside. The Inclusive Gateway is characterized by a circle, which represents the concept of inclusivity. When modeling with the Inclusive Gateway, it is important to consider all possible outputs and define corresponding conditions that define which paths are activated. In our example, we see that the path that the process must take depends on the order value. If the order value is less than or equal to 10K, the goods can be ordered directly. If the order value is at least 10K, approval must first be obtained. So far, this has always been an either-or decision. But here it comes. With an order value of 50K or more, the purchasing department must first obtain quotations from various suppliers. Why can't this problem be solved with an Exclusive Gateway? Because with an order value of 50K, we also fulfill the condition for the path of the approval process. So in our case, the token splits and runs into the basic approval process and also into the tendering process path. You can only solve this challenge with simple and clear means using the Inclusive Gateway. As with the other gateways, we also use the Inclusive Gateway to merge paths again. This is particularly important as selecting multiple paths increases the complexity of the process. When merging, it must be ensured that the process is only continued once all relevant previously activated paths has been completed. This poses a challenge in modeling, as it is necessary to define exactly how and when the paths are merged in order to avoid deadlocks or incomplete processes. What should you bear in mind when using inclusive gateways? When using them, it is crucial to clearly define the conditions and ensure that the process remains consistent and logical even when multiple paths are activated. A careful review of the process design is necessary to ensure that no undesirable scenarios arise that inhibit the process flow. The ability to choose multiple paths based on dynamic conditions provides great flexibility, but also adds a level of complexity that must be carefully managed. Gateways are not a simple topic, I know. So let's briefly differentiate the gateways we already discussed. The main difference with the Exclusive Gateway is the ability to activate multiple paths at the same time, rather than committing to a single path. And unlike the Parallel Gateway, which does not require any conditions for the activation of its path, and always activates all paths, the Inclusive Gateway allows a conditional selection of several paths. This flexibility makes the Inclusive Gateway a powerful tool in BPMN, but it also requires careful planning and consideration to ensure the integrity and efficiency of the process flow. You see, BPMN offers the appropriate gateway for every use case. But we're moving on to the next gateway, and that's really cool. So, see you in the next chapter. Welcome back. The event-based gateway in BPMN is a truly fascinating element that enables a special form of decision-making in business processes. It differs from other gateways such as exclusive, parallel, or inclusive gateway in its ability to make decisions based on events, rather than conditions evaluated in the process itself. How does it work? Well, an event-based gateway is used to control the flow of a process based off an event that has happened. It waits for one of several possible events to occur and forwards the process flow according to the event that has occurred. This gateway therefore makes it possible to model a kind of race between events in which the path that receives the expected event first is awarded the contract and is continued. This is where a special feature of this gateway comes into play. The token waits at the gateway and checks which event behind it is the first to occur. It then sends the token to the process path in which the event took place. How do you model this gateway? The event-based gateway is represented by a diamond symbol, similar to other gateways, but with a small pentagon in the center. The event-based gateway is usually followed by several outgoing sequence flows, each which leads to an event, such as a timer event, a message event, or an error event. When should you choose this gateway? The event-based gateway is particularly useful in scenarios where the decision on how to continue a process depends on external factors or the occurrence of certain events. An example could be a process where a decision needs to be made based on whether a response from a customer via email, so a message event, or the expiry of a certain period of time via a timer event. Depending on which event occurs first, the process can be steered in different directions. You therefore need to consider which events are expected and how the process should be continued when each possible event occurs. This type of gateway differs fundamentally from the gateways discussed so far, but although offers possibilities that you cannot realize with the other gateways. To summarize, the event-based gateway in BPMN offers a flexible and powerful way to control business processes based on events. Its unique design enables dynamic decision-making, which is increasingly important in today's fast-paced business world. That's for the event-based gateway. The next and final gateway is, let's say, complex. See you in the next chapter. Welcome back. I would just like to briefly introduce you to the last gateway, because it is probably the most hated gateway and, rightly so in my opinion. Besides, there is not really much you can say about this gateway. It is a complex gateway. You can do everything with this gateway that you can't do with the other gateways. What rules apply to the complex gateway? In short, none. You can design the gateway absolutely free. It is intended for situations in which the decision logic is too complex to be expressed by the standard gateways or when several conditions in combination define the continuation of the process. The complex gateway therefore makes it possible to decide which path to follow next in the process on the basis of multiple or complex conditions. These conditions can be a combination of several events and states that are considered together to decide the next steps in the process. It is represented with the familiar diamond with the asterisk in the middle to symbolize its complexity. The exact logic behind a complex gateway is often specified in a formal condition or description, as it cannot always be represented directly in the diagram. Because of the unspecified nature of this gateway, I understandably can't really tell you anything about it except that it exists. However, I would like to share a couple of thoughts with you. Generally speaking, the use of complex gateways in BPMN can make a process more complicated and difficult to understand. While complex gateways provide a powerful way to represent diverse and complicated branching and merging logics that goes far beyond the capabilities of exclusive, inclusive, or parallel gateway, their complexity is usually too much of a disadvantage. In my view, a process that can only be modeled with complex gateways is too complex and should be analyzed and revised as a whole. It's always a good approach when modeling processes to maintain simplicity wherever possible. This means first trying to get by with the most basic gateway types. If these are not sufficient for the desired logic, the process as a whole should be reconsidered as a first step. Only then should the use of the complex gateway be considered. However, it is advisable to keep their use to a minimum and only use them where absolutely necessary to ensure the comprehensibility and manageability of the process model. So, you see, this gateway is not my favorite. Sorry. Nevertheless, I hope to see you in the next chapter. We have now taken an exciting journey through the different types of gateways in BPMN. From the decision points of the exclusive gateway to the parallel path of the parallel gateway, the conditional flexibility of the inclusive gateway, the dynamic decisions of the event-based gateway, and the versatile control provided by the complex gateway. Each gateway offers unique functions that enable business processes to be modeled precisely and effectively. The exclusive gateway helps us to make decisions where only one path is continued based on one condition. The parallel gateway allows multiple paths to run simultaneously. The inclusive gateway provides flexibility by selecting multiple paths based on conditions. And the event-based gateway initiates paths based on events. Each of these gateways plays a critical role in designing efficient, clear, and flexible business process models. By applying the right gateway in the right places, you can ensure that your process flow is logical, efficient, and adaptable to the needs of your business. BPMN Gateways shows how diverse and powerful the possibilities for modeling business processes are and provides you with a toolbox to design your processes optimally. That's all for the gateways so far, and we will see in the next section.